expect to pay anything at the end of the month, so I implore you to get your own decoder so that you watch our wonderful programs. Today, again, we are looking at our favorite program, Issues of the Moment. In today's Issues of the Moment, we'll be looking at the Senate approval of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's 800 billion US dollars World Bank loan and the 500 billion Naira fuel subsidy removal palliatives request. These two things, and also the insecurity in Umunoji. Just these three will be coming your way today. And as usual, I have in the studio with me a man we always love to listen to, who is, with his accumulated wealth of experience and knowledge, he is here also to analyze these issues as it concerns our country. Me here in the studio is no other person but Comrade Nnamdi Elekwachi. Comrade Nnamdi Elekwachi is a historian, not just a historian, he's also a political affairs analyst. I don't always forget to add that he is also a tele-evangelist. He's also a man who loves to deal with numbers, dates, and figures. I'm sure you'll be glad to hear him again today. Comrade, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you, moderator, for having me. That was a beautiful citation. Good day, our viewers.
All right, let us start with the home base. Yes, in today's Issues of the Moment, the youths of Umunoji local government have cried out. They said they are under severe security threat. The Umunoji cries to Governor Alex Otti. The youths of Umunoji reported that Fulani herdsmen, as alleged, has been directly involved in resurgence of killings and kidnapping. Precisely on the 25th day of June, on Sunday 2023, suspected killer herdsmen attacked some people returning from a wedding ceremony, and then around the Leru area of the Enugu-Okigwe Parakod Expressway, and marched the occupants into the bush. Umunoji used laments that the terror in Isochi, Neato, Umucheze is almost out of control. They are making a clarion call to the federal and state governments to come to their aid. They also pleaded with the government to remove Lokmanta Garki market there, and then also they also said that they don't need the army barrack base checkpoint at Lomara Junction. Again, they said something must be done to stop the escalating crisis. They lamented bitterly. Comrade, I'm sure you've heard this story.
Yes.
And also what happened.
Yeah.
And then now they are not just calling and making this clear call to the state, but to the federal government, because the army is of the federal and so on. And then one point that is clear, very, very clear there, is that the Lopanta market there, the Garki market there, and also the army checkpoint, because you also know what happened when the bishop was kidnapped.
Yes, I was going to say that.
And what the man said concerning the soldiers there.
Yes.
So, and these people are saying the same thing.
Yes, even following the kidnap of the bishop, there was a time the youths led a protest against the military. In fact, they went protesting, and then it led to a suspension of or relaxation of the military presence there. You understand? You now ask yourself the question, from Enugu to Okigwe alone, you have more than 20 military checkpoints.
Yes.
You understand? Being mounted by these military persons. But then all this evil still happens in that corridor or that axis. Now a bishop of Methodist Church was actually kidnapped some time ago along that corridor. He made startling revelations. He said his kidnappers or his abductors were people from the Fulani ethnic region. He said they were speaking Fulfulde and that they were working in cahoots with the military, as it were. And no panel was set up to investigate that grave allegation. Nothing was said about it, and nothing was said. Now, my neighbor was kidnapped along that axis. He told me, and he told us when he came back, that the people who kidnapped him were Fulanis, and that they were telling him then, as it were. I'm not saying this. I know I'm on a TV. You understand? I'm on set. I'm not saying it to started it. But they said they told him that they had cordoned off, they had encircled the forest margins within those areas. Yes. And now I will tell you something. Remember some time ago, either 2020 or 2019, there was a reported case of a rise or a surge in kidnap of students from Abia State University, including their lecturers. You understand? And then that one also led to protests and then complaints. So that axis alone, that side, that particular part of the southeast has become a flashpoint of terrorism, of kidnap, for ransom, of mayhem, even rape, and sundry crimes. So I think it's high time the federal government began talking about this issue. One, these people, they have actually made the youth had been able to mobilize themselves, and then they went protesting. Then they had actually told the appropriate quarters before now that they do not want military presence again. Yeah. They have said it many times. And you begin to ask yourself, what would the military be doing there? You understand? When reportedly, or even allegedly, people are being kidnapped. You understand? So it means that there is a compromise. You understand? It's either the military is aware of what is happening or does not want to act. These are the two things. It's either the military is aware or the military does not simply want to act. Because this has become a recurring decimal. Every day we are related to this news that people are being kidnapped. Now, the federal government and all this, the federal government, as we heard, is deploying troops to come here to stop sit at home. And now you ask yourself, how many times have kinetic approach addressed the problem of insecurity? Operation Python Dance 2, Egweke 2, was a kinetic approach. It is the problem we are suffering today. All the sit at home we are seeing happen in the southeast is, in fact, they are a fallout of that operation. From there, you began to see that the people who had been hitherto peaceful in their approach, I mean the IPO, they were hitherto peaceful. They never contemplated having any armed or any armed or militant wing. Now, after the MNA killings and the Egweke, then the MNA killings, they went underground, they armed themselves, and then we started hearing of ESN. Ever since then, we've had many engagements, many battles between this formation and between these military formations and the non-state actors. You understand? So I think we have to be more strategic. And then that reminds me what the president said during the campaign. He said, if elected, he will negotiate with all agitators in the southeast. He's been elected, and I'm yet to hear about any negotiation or any dialogue. So has he unsaid what he said during the campaign? So a lot is happening, and I think the governors of the region, they have come together anyway to have a meeting, but I think they should be more strategic the way they are engaging the federal government, because the security, as enshrined in the constitution, called national security, is exclusive reserve of the federal government. It is there in the exclusive list. The state has no power as a state now. The governors have no powers whatsoever. The federal government controls the police for internal peace coordination and enforcement. They control the civil defense for the same thing. Now, at the federal level, they also control the army to defend the territorial integrity of the Nigerian state against aggression, external aggression. They also control the navy. They also control the air force. So you can even the intelligence community. So you can actually see that everything about national security is the pickup of the federal government. So they are in a better position to address this problem, and addressing it should not be kinetic approach, but dialogic.
All right, and then looking at do we say that the governors of these various states are just seen as ceremonial security, this chief security of their various states? Because if OT's hands are tied in this situation, and then before, if nothing happened when the youth of Umunochi protested then, and this thing is repeating itself, irrespective of the Starling revelations made by the bishop that was kidnapped, and nothing was done. And I think what only happened is that they changed either the soldiers that were there. And now it is repeating itself. What role do you think the governor of the state can play in situations like this?
What the governor can, you know that those people there, the military formation there is not taking any instruction from the governor. They are taking instructions from their sectoral commanders, their general, their sectoral and then field commanders who are giving out the rules of engagement and then terms of operation to them. And then if you look at the hierarchy from there, you see how they are taking orders from the chief of army staff, who is also taking orders from the president, the commander-in-chief. The fact there remains that what Alex Otti can only do is to amplify this issue. When he meets with the federal government or when he meets the president, he begins to talk about it as area of need, that we need provision of security in this region, not what seemed compromise. Because if you see I have been to Umunoj. In fact, the other day I was in Abuja. You understand? After flying to Abuja, you know, you don't fly to Kaduna, so we use the road. The place that is known as axis of evil or axis of terror in Kaduna State and Abuja Kaduna Express Road. I didn't see any military formation there. Put me, I said I didn't see any military formation. The times you see military, they will be somewhere at the shoulder, in fact across the road. But in southeast here, they will mount roadblocks. You will see them with sandbags. With sandbags, you will even see a structure raised. Even at night, you will still see them. You understand? Burning fire to be there. And I keep wondering, why is it that the southeast is under military jackboot? Why is the southeast under military jackboot? Yet all these things are happening. So I think we have to do a rejig of the security landscape in the southeast. Then throw more focus on studying it, the dynamics and the parameters of these whole things to see what can be done. And I think what could be done is not deploying. It's not just deploying troops. We have enough troops here. You understand already. To me, I think the best option now to be dialogue, as the president had promised during the campaign. It should start now.
And also, don't you think there was a time somebody made this suggestion concerning the postings and the postings as it concerns the military?
Yes.
You know, and that those from the southeast should be allowed to come down here.
Yes.
But you discover that the set of soldiers we have here are majorly Fulanis, Hausas, and so on. While we have Igbo brothers.
And let me also say this, you see, where you have that Fulani encampment known as Lopanta, you have that Fulani encampment, and you also have soldiers, majority or some of who are Fulanis by origin. You see, it's just like a community, and then we don't even know people who come from where they are coming. Now, see, Africa is having coup after coup. The implication is that from places like Mali, from places like even Burkina Faso, then to Sudan, you see there is this kind of migration happening in the country. And you see that from Sudan, you begin to come down, begin to go, it is Chad. From Chad, you are coming close to Nigeria, then, and all that migration. You see that the northern borders are porous. People could come as far as from anywhere, and they are not intersected. So when they begin to either as pastoralists, as nomads who are heading their animals, they begin to come down this side or southward. There is this southward migration. Who stops them? Nobody stops them. So, and that is why, since they operate in the forest margins, it cannot be wished away that majority of the things happening in the southeast, you understand, have external influence. You understand? And I'm also aware that there is also the domestic factor. There are also domestic factors to it. But how can we address this going forward? Is the option before us now.
Now, considering the security architecture in the state,
yes,
so to speak, as it stands, it looks as if it has increased since the exit of the former government. What do you think about that?
I won't be rather quick to say it has increased, because if you see what is happening, it does appear as if the agitators, I do not know their reason whatsoever. Even IPOB has come out to say this is not our mode of operation. Understand? We don't believe in sit at. Now you are telling people to sit at home for 2 weeks. The same people who are coming out from cashless policy, who are coming out from, in fact, who are still suffering the fuel economy we are in now. So I do not know, but you see that there were pronouncements made by some certain governors to the effect that sit at home will not happen in their states or under their watch, leading to escalation of this whole thing. So it could be a fallout of all that. But at the same time, I think the situation we are dealing with, to me, is alarming now, and it's got to a point where we talk about it. And that's why I said I like what the governor, Hope Uzodinma of Imo State, did when he, at his BS, that meeting happened. You understand? But let us also not forget that, like I said before, the state governments can do not much. They cannot do much when it comes to issues like this. Yes, they are the chief security officers of their states, as said or enshrined in the constitution. But you begin to ask yourself, what constitutional role we are giving to them or assigned to them by the same constitution? You see, nothing virtually, except that they collect security votes from which they can maybe share portrait. Some with the whole security actors in the state. You understand? So to me, I think if and also if you look at their own arrangement to arrest the situation, you see it was a flop. I'm talking about Ebegbubago. Yes. Ebegbubago was their own level of coming together, saying we are trying to bring about provision of security in the region, but a court, I think this year's February or so, in Ebonyi State sat and declared Ebegbubago outlawed for incessant it's not really different about this now. Said torture, intimidation, harassment of citizens you were actually told to protect. So to that extent, you can see that since Ebegbubago, and then the governor of the state said he will appeal the judgment. But if you look at it, you see that Ebegbubago has not been able to coordinate any security strategy. We've not even for once been able to became victim of Ebegbubago in Ebonyi State. Exactly. The one that happened in Nadai and all that. Now listen, we've not read anywhere that Ebegbubago was able to uncover any plots, whether external or internal, that they were able to preempt through intelligence, because the reason why you have them is to do what? To localize security provision, to make for local intelligence gathering. But we didn't see that happen.
But they were only predominantly in Ebonyi and Imo State.
Yeah.
And we also heard about the recent, the other killings.
Yes. And then unfortunately, it may also interest you to know that the places where you have APC-led government or state government are the places where they became so rampant, and then their activities against the people they are supposed to protect. Unlike what they have done in the southwest, where you have the Amotekun.
I think that's exactly what Nnamdi Kanu had in mind
when he talked about the ESN. Yeah, he said because the mandate of the ESN was to operate as forest guards. The perception, the understanding then was that the Fulani headers, not all Fulanis are bad. Let's also let's establish that here.
Exactly.
There are many good, wonderful, lovely, peace-loving Fulani people, and they are many. But these ones who are coming from God knows where. Sometimes even the federal government under Muhammadu Buhari said Nigeria has been infiltrated. Said that they were coming from as far as Chad, Niger, Mali. You understand? So if at all we have a situation where these ones are coming in and they are not checked, there is everything they see. You know. And they like to do what? To migrate, and in their nomadic pasturing, they sack communities, including farmlands and all that. So who knows whether they have been there for some time and then their operation. But it is only a better and more reliable intelligence report that will unravel.
All right. Shortly before we go on break, were you talking about nothing the governor who is assumed the chief security officer of the state can do? And then I remember at a point the one-time governor of the then old Imo, back when it was called the whipping governor.
Yeah.
And not to think that if the governor, takes security and the protection of lives of Abia serious, that they can also become a whipping governor to ensure that something is done.
That was why I said, except that the governor, the only thing he can do is to amplify the matter. By amplification, I mean making the necessary noise, making it to be heard. You see, there were times in the past where, why I love the man, Governor Akeredolu, who is now sick, unfortunately, was the kind of amplification he gave the problem. He interpreted it and named it what it was. No horse, no who's bad, and he went. So I think if the governor, now that we have someone like Tinubu there as president, whose body language is not entirely the same thing with the one of Buhari, and who likely has more listening ears, I think it is now left for the governor to approach, you understand, the president whenever they will have their Federal Executive Council or whatever. So and then even to reach him formally, pay him a visit. And I think the governor of Imo State actually visited him either yesterday or 2 days ago to lay before him these complaints, and that's why he's the president. Lay before him these issues and these concerns and say we are at the throes of insecurity and we are a region that is bleeding.
Even in today's news, the Southeast Elders Forum, are planning to meet with Tinubu also to talk about this insecurity and also the release of Nnamdi Kanu.
Exactly.
All right, that's we are going to go on a very short break. When we come back, remember we are going to discuss the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's $800 million and 500 billion naira loan. We are going to look at this when we come back. Please don't go away. Keep watching your darling station, Living TV. We'll be back shortly. Alright, our wonderful viewers, I'm glad you're still there watching your darling station, The Living TV. Remember, it's still your favorite program, Issues of the Moment. Then we have dealt with the first, episode concerning the insecurity in Niger State, particularly Leru, Logbanta, Enugu, Port Harcourt Expressway, as it is. Alright, right now we are going to look at the Senate having approved President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's $800 million World Bank loan and 500 billion naira fuel subsidy removal palliatives request. And in that their discourse, they also said that each Nigerian, about 10 million Nigerians, will be receiving
12 billion.
8 million.
8,000 12 million Nigerian households will be receiving.
12 million Nigerians will be receiving 8,000 naira monthly for 6 months, and that is what the palliative is. And then, before you look into that, I also want us to remember the traders' money and so much money and even the feeding of the schools and children. So on. And so many parts of this country never witnessed it. But at the end of the day, billions and millions and trillions of naira, we mentioned on that. And this one they are coming up again. A lot of commentaries have been going on and saying it's like these people are insensitive. I want you to take it up.
Yes, the word insensitive is what the whole thing smacks of. The whole thing smacks of insensitivity, or the government not being sensitive to the plight of the people. And I will begin this way. You see, just yesterday, the naira slumped. The naira depreciated to 1,055 naira to a pound. The same yesterday again, the reflection it had on the dollar was 820 naira to $1. Now the president, at about the same time, is talking about sharing 8,000 naira amongst 12 million households, vulnerable and poor households. Good. Now, 8,000 naira is not enough to stock on foodstuffs. Number one. Then it cannot even buy 20 liters of petrol. That's number two. Then number three. If you are to even convert to dollar, we are talking about something that is not even up to $8. Sorry, 8 pounds rather. If you are to convert to pounds, the 8,000 naira we are talking about is not up to 8 pounds. Something someone in Britain will get in an hour, just 1 hour. You understand? Or even less. They will get that money. Is what you are transferring to Nigerians under the same thing Buhari did, named conditional cash transfer. You are transferring to Nigerians. And the worst thing is that Tinubu is governing Nigeria without an economic team. We must have to come to embrace this fact. You understand? There is no minister of economy, there is no minister of finance anywhere. He is not constituted his or economic team or his cabinet. So who is even in charge? Is this country? You understand? Is this country on autopilot mode? And I will tell you something. See, in 2015, when he came in, for 6 months, Buhari did not constitute his cabinet. When we asked him, he said he was looking for the best hands. Even when we know that he later became the worst set of ministers, yet he was still regaling the nation's lead into recession because there was nobody giving executive supervision at the ministries. You understand? Now, let us come to it. What is subsidy? Subsidy, when you are subsidizing, you are investing. Subsidy is an investment. Now, it means you are investing a particular amount of money. And the 500 billion naira they are still talking about, to me, I'm still suspecting, because they say that if they had subsidized the fuel, if they had subsidized fuel and contemplated it in the budget of 2023, that they will be paying 6.4 trillion naira. Now, what we are hearing so far is that 500 billion naira is going to be disbursed. Now, listen, subsidy is an investment the federal government is making, or a cost the federal government is covering for and on behalf of Nigerians so that they can buy fuel cheap. Now, when you remove the money, where are you putting the money? We shouldn't be talking about giving people handouts like 8,000 naira, which to me is laughable. It makes no sense. We should be talking about using the money to invest on critical social sectors and areas that will trigger economic growth and then lead to, if possible, you understand, harmonizing and mobilizing our productive forces, engaging the youth. And I will explain something to you. During his own subsidy regime, when he removed subsidy, the man they criticized, Goodluck Jonathan, reinvested the money, and it was called Subsidy Reinvestment Program. He was able to provide mass transit scheme, as in for transporters and commuters. Many states, in fact, all the states had access to. Each state could have 20, 30, depending, you understand. And then again, there were other palliative and incentives like even fertilizers, you understand, given to farmers. But here you are talking about giving people 8,000 naira. I don't know, and I say, yeah, I don't understand what that means. And then it speaks to something that the National Assembly is taking orders, perhaps from the president, because the president wants the kind of National Assembly he can work with, as they say. That now that 500 naira billion, that 800 million naira loan was the loan, the same loan Buhari was looking for. We protested against it. The Ninth Assembly stepped back. Now Buhari, Tinubu is going to have it. Then see the implication. They have now restructured, or they have now revisited the 2023 supplementary budget of 819 billion naira. Exactly. From where they are getting this 500 billion naira. The National Assembly is to get 70 billion naira for their working condition. And this means people, 360 members from the House of Reps and 109 members from the Senate. That's 469 elected members with their aides, special assistants, and other technical staff. And then you also have the para-legislative staff, the secretaries, those who do other works. And I'm sure they are not up to 2,000 persons in all. These are the persons we are giving 70 billion naira. Now you are transferring 8,000 naira. You understand? To Nigeria. How many Nigerians, the poor Nigerians, do they have accounts? Do they have BVN? You understand? You understand what I'm saying?
So, I think there are another area.
And then again, how did we even come about, these 12 million persons? What were the aggregate?
Yes,
what were the templates to know
exactly.
them? We've not done any census exercise since 2006. So how did you? And then within the intervening years, there had been deaths, there had been births, there had been diseases, there had been a lot of things, there had been migration, even. So I do not know the basis of saying we are saying the same thing that happened under Buhari.
Like what happened
under the
during
Buhari, yes, through the Ministry of
and then when they talked about
Affairs,
giving out all these palliatives. That one big and fine question there is, how did they come about these 12
million persons?
Yeah. Who are these persons? Where are their locations and so on?
You see, when this question was asked, President Muhammad Buhari's government, then I think the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Control and Social Development, headed them by Hadia Fafaruk. We said, give us this register. They claim to have a register of 50 million poor Nigerians. Give us this register, and there was no publication anywhere, those who benefited from this. And the same thing they accused PDP of using Shopee money to reward loyalists was the same thing they did under Buhari. Billions of naira, a source said over 60 billion naira went that way. You understand? Went through the drain, was not accounted for. Now, you see, he who must come to equity must come with clean hands. Because equity sees as done that which is supposed to be done. The whole thing is that we are still running around circle, and then it's still the same thing. So I think Tinubu should be more transparent, should be more strategic, should be more pro-poor and pro-Nigerians, not giving the National Assembly 70 billion naira at a time like this, when we should be cutting back on cost of governance. He has told us already to make sacrifice, that we are facing a hard time, and then he's making a hard choice. Then he should begin with him. I was expecting that the president would be saying my salary or some of my. See, it is only in Nigeria we have to, I don't know, we waste a lot in governance. You understand? The people who just left the 9th Assembly, they were paid what you call severance package.
Yes.
That is bye-bye. Yeah? You for not coming again. Severance, they have been severed. Then again, you will receive hardship allowance. You will receive. Do you know that the president of this country doesn't buy fuel? He doesn't buy fuel. Even the governors, they don't buy fuel. They have reservoirs in their state houses where they go and then they feed, including all their eggs, all those ritually, the convoys, all the cars you see in the convoy, they don't buy fuel. So it's unfortunate. It's quite unfortunate.
Yeah. Let us also look at this. Some states are still finding it very difficult to implement the 30,000 minimum wage. And then even as at the last assembly, we also know, whether it was a rumor or alleged, that most of them, the National Assembly members, most of them go on with up to 30 million naira in a month, when we are struggling to pay 30,000 minimum wage.
Yeah.
And then would you like this to to Bola Ahmed Tinubu's promise that is going to continue from where Buhari?
That is the reading. People are, you see, it's now it's no longer a complex thing. People are beginning to see this administration as a continuation of the last administration, and have even tied or fastened their seatbelt. They have actually busied or even readied their mind, you understand, to swim and then see how they survive. And I'll tell you something, you see, the palliative we're talking about, do you know that there was a rumor before now that the president was seeking, or that the president sought to increase salaries of lawmakers and judges and other public officials by 114%. Now, do you know the amount the National Judicial Commission is getting from the palliative? That is 35 billion naira. The National Assembly is getting 70 billion. That is also a point at what people were fearing when they said the president intended to increase the salary of these ones. Now, agriculture as a ministry got 19.8 billion naira. Agriculture got 19 billion naira. You understand? To do what?
It got up to that because of
then the Ministry of Work was giving 185 billion naira, yes, to fix roads ravaged by floods and what have you. But then the question is that the meaning of palliative? No. Palliative simply means putting incentives in place to incentivize the economy, to cushion the effects and the pain the economy is suffering as occasioned by the removal of subsidy. You understand? That even if Nigerians are not paying the same amount for subsidy, they should enjoy light, number one. They should also have means, affordable means of transportation to their workplaces and marketplaces. But unfortunately, neither is happening. So I think, to me, this administration has not got it right. And the next thing they should do, without wasting further time again, is to do what? Constitute the cabinet. Let the business begin.
Yes, and especially have a serious-minded economic team.
Economy, yes, and it's very important. Very, very important.
Yes, and before we go, I want us to look at two more things. One is talking about this giving out of this money. That place is very, very important. I know you've touched it somehow because we've seen what had happened last time. And so many names, many a time that we will be asked to come here, register, give your BVN number, account number, and so on, that there will be palliatives coming and so on. In fact, a lot of organizations used it to dupe a lot of people.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, nothing happens. And then the same thing has started again. I remember shortly before the handover of President Muhammadu Buhari, they talked about the census of a
population. Yes.
That was is now postponed. Now, how are we sure? How are Nigerians sure that this money is going to get to the right hands, or is it going to be business as usual, sharing it within their political?
You see, one laughable and funny thing about this money going to be shared is that there is no minister or any ministry, you understand,
that is directly in charge.
We know that is now coordinating to actually say we've never had since 2006 we had the last census population, census and housing population. You see, there has never been a government to say the reason why you have census or when you have head count is to enumerate your citizens, and you know those who are dependent, the retirees, the unemployed. You even know the number of the dead ones, the ones who have died. You know those who have traveled, who have left the shores of the country. Because if you come to a particular family, they will tell you the number, and they tell you where the other ones who are not around are, and then you take the whole figure. Then you know how to generate a population, you understand? But unfortunately, we don't say this thing. The report coming from Brookings Institution said 88 million Nigerians were poor. That was 2018.
Yes.
Now listen, by 2022, National Bureau of Statistics released their own finding. They said what? They said 133 million Nigerians were facing multidimensional poverty. Multidimensional poverty is the worst level, in fact, the worst level of poverty. Multidimensionally means educationally they are poor, in terms of finance they are poor, in terms of housing they are poor, and that's when you even talk about child poverty, child mortality, all these things are affecting Nigeria. Now listen, it means that Buhari, who was saying he was transferring 10,000 naira to Nigerian citizens to pull them out of poverty, Buhari's mandate, don't forget, was to lift 100 million Nigerians out of poverty. Good. Now, by 2018, there were 88 million poor Nigerians. By 2022, they have become 133. Subtract 88 from 133, you have 45 million persons. It means that Buhari created 45 million poor Nigerians, nearly half the number he claimed he was going to do what? Pull out of poverty. Then again, the irony is that after the cashless policy, a certain World Bank report or release said 2 million Nigerians became food insecure. They became food insecure, and today the president is declaring emergency of food security. and then I was asking the question: how much are you investing in agriculture? How much are you investing in even provision of security to make sure that farmers return to their farmland? It's not just enough to bring these soldiers here. There are places they are needed.
Yes.
There are places they are needed. You understand? So I don't think, and if Tinubu continues like this, he may not get it right. One, he has already failed in the execution and the planning of the subsidy removal regime, and I said here he got off to a bad start with that very policy. It was like placing the cat before the horse. You don't do such a thing. You have to contemplate the provision of palliatives, see where and where you can plug the leakages before you even make that pronouncement. But he had not yet constituted his cabinet no economic team. He had not even met with the governors. He had not even become the president sitting in Aso Rock. He had only become the president, handed over. Then he made such pronouncement, and we saw the ripple effect just within an hour. So it's something that he must be careful and deliberate and strategic about.
One of the viewers is good to know that the phone line is open 09168284994. You can call us, tell us where you're calling us from, make your contributions or ask questions based on the issue at hand. Remember, the line is 09168284994. 09168284994. Remember what we are discussing. It concerns all of us, talking about 12 million poor Nigerians that will benefit from these
12 million households.
Households that will benefit from these subsidy removal palliatives. How will it get around Nigerians? In Abia State, how many households will benefit? Anambra, Ebonyi, and all the states of the Federation. They said it's going to cut across the 6 geopolitical zones of this country. The question becomes who are directly involved. And what level or degree of enumeration have they done to ascertain the number of people who would benefit from this? Is it going to be a goritell or story as usual? These are the things we are looking at. You can make your contributions while we're here. Also remember that our radio, you can also listen to us from our radio 90.9 Living Radio FM. 90.9 Living Radio FM. You can also hear us there. If you don't have your HD decoder, free to air decoder, you can as well listen to us on our radio 90.9 Living Radio FM. It is on now so that you can ask your questions or make your contributions. Yes, away from that. Comrade, yes. What has been happening? You've been around the corner. You've also got a member of the most reputed civil society organizations. And then we are talking about 70 billion naira that is allotted to the National Assembly to support the working conditions of the new members.
You know, a mathematician. I'm using my own elementary knowledge of mathematics because I feared math when I was in school. I used to tell them, since the teacher said there are problems, he says solve the problems. I didn't cause these problems, so why am I the one to solve them? Now in my elementary, when you divide that very amount of money among the 469 members, 360 from House of Reps, 109 from the Senate, you see that each and every one of them has over 100 million naira. I'm being conservative, over 100 million naira. At a time when we should be cutting back on the cost of governance, we are looking for money to shore up or to create buffer around the economy that is bleeding, economy that is in tatters, on its knees.
Maybe that's network. You can always call us back. You can always call us back. 09168284994. You can always call back and make your contributions. Go ahead.
Economy that is bleeding, economy that is on its knees, economy that is in tatters. Now, the only thing to be done is to cut the cost of governance. It was easy for Muhammadu Buhari to criticize the number of presidential, the number of aircraft in the presidential fleet. But when he became president, he could have even acquired more. He couldn't do the things he said. He said he was going to hand over those things, maybe through AMCON, that is assets authorities, that they will convert it and then it should become national carrier, the way we used to have Nigeria Airways. Unfortunately, his brand was the Nigerian Air, which has created a lot of controversy and generated a lot of talks and brouhaha and suspicion and even infighting at the National Assembly. But let us also reflect that a time like this should call for sacrifice. Tinubu himself had said it. Now, if I were to be in the house and the kind of person I believe I should be, no, I have not seen any member stand up for the first time and say, honorable members, can we talk of cutting half? Let it be the sacrifice we are making. But unfortunately, they are going to get more. You understand? And that is to tell you how this administration is likely to run. I've told you here before, I had come to expect nothing different. I'm not seeing it that Tinubu, we all know that Tinubu wanted to be president. preparing to be president in the last 20 years is different from preparing to govern. I do not know who Tinubu is bringing on board, because they said he has the tendency and the capacity to bring the best hands, that he was able to transition or even transform Lagos radically. But there are many areas. Currently, as we speak, agriculture is now contributing 30% of our GDP. We have arable, vast, uncultivated land in this country that is, according to P2B, that is bigger than the size of Belgium. So, what are we doing? What are we waiting for? What are we going to mobilize the farmers, incentivize agriculture? 8,000 naira, my brother, cannot even buy oil to even grease farm implements like tractors and other equipment. It cannot for it. So is that how you are going to mechanize and revolutionize agriculture, to talk about agrarian or agriculture export-led growth? So until you begin to, you see, why we still borrow from World Bank is this, and it's hard time we talk about this. When you borrow on terms, the terms that are favorable to the person lending to you.
Yes. And
you are paying back in the same currency. Now listen, you are paying back with the same currency you borrowed. If you are borrowing in dollar, you are paying back in dollar. Now, the implication of debts, even if the National Assembly won't let them okay anyone he is requesting. Now see, the implication is that when they tell you to pay back in 10 years, you see that if Nigeria had borrowed $50 million from any multilateral financial institution or any multilateral development bank, now listen, it is no longer the 50 million naira you borrowed last 10 years, because that time a dollar might have been 189 naira. Yes. Yeah, you understand? Now you are paying from the area where you are devaluing your currency the more. The time it comes to maturity, the same governments, I'm talking about Africa and Nigeria, you understand? Generally, we now approach the lending authority and now say we are not able to pay, we are having adverse effects on our. They will now give you 5 years grace. Sorry. Hello. This is Living TV.
Good afternoon. This was Spain.
Yes. Tell us who you are and where you're calling us from.
Yeah, I want to contribute about that. What our Mr. President was saying.
Okay.
The thing, the idea is also not fair. It's fair. He has not been well. He's moving the subsidy to paying us 8,000 in monthly. It's actually fair. He has not doing well. He has not doing. He's totally failing us. If this is not what we are expecting from him, even Mr. Buhari has done his own. We are just fell in this new money and old money. We are just trying to stand up. He just enter and just remove the subsidy immediately. It's actually failing us.
Okay, what's the name, please? What's the name? Hello?
The name is Abakesi. You are calling from Port Harcourt.
Okay, my brother. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much for that wonderful contribution. That's why we are here. That's what we are looking at. You heard what he said from Port Harcourt. Yes. He said he has failed us. Mr. President has failed us, and that this is not what they expected.
Yes, nobody had expected this, even myself, because if you look at Buhari's campaign documents, I'm talking about his manifesto, he talked about revolutionizing agriculture and then institutionalizing the market board. You used to know the market board of the 50, 60, 70, that the market board will be there to do what? To buy, the government will now be buying directly from these agricultural these farmers, you understand, at control price, and then so that they will not even run out of cash, and then the government will now look at ways to create arterial economic nexus. But unfortunately, we've seen neither. So I think he should begin now, you understand, to get his act right and together. If not, he may be going the way of Buhari. It's not my prayers for him. It's not my wish for him.
All right. Finally, before we go, I want us to look at also finally. Talking about this from your analysis, you said if we should go by your elementary knowledge of mathematics, that an individual may be getting about 100
more than 100 million
naira.
naira.
More than 100 million naira by this 70 billion naira allotted to them.
Yeah.
And then yet some states are battling with 30,000 minimum wage. Like in Abia, until today it has not been fully implemented.
Yes.
And then all of us buy from the same market.
Exactly.
And then how are they alleviating the suffering of the masses?
I've not seen any poverty. In fact, Obasanjo said poverty eradication. Obasanjo began with poverty. By the time he realized that poverty had become somewhat ineradicable, he now said the poverty alleviation. So the whole thing is that, but anyway, the man was being true to himself anyway. So the whole thing is this: if we are desirous to get this country right, as in back on track again, what we can do is simple. It is the hard choice. But now listen, income redistribution. You have to redistribute income, repattern the way salaries are paid, and that is the work. One of the works of the Nigerian revenue, fiscal, and the allocation committee. You understand? To revisit some of these things and then say, a lawmaker. I do not know why a lawmaker should have more than 10 million naira a month, even 5 million naira a month. What for? What for? And that is why the campaigns are usually warlike. A lot of things happen, and we are talking about the fact that this thing has actually brought about institutionalized corruption. And it's my personal opinion. If you have a system where the person who sits as Senate President did not participate in the primary, and is sitting there as Senate President, you understand? It means we have a question we have not found answer to. And then if we are to get this country right, we must repattern, income redistribution is very, very important. To talk about equitable distribution of income, where the teacher in the classroom is contented, where the worker in the local government office is contented, where the gate man is contented, where everybody is happy at their level. That is why in Britain, you see, salary should be leveler. If you work for 1 hour, you know how much you are earning. But here it's unfortunate that people who by the laws establishing them are not even required to stay up to 200, to work up to 200 days in a year. We back all the billions. I'm talking about the National Assembly members.
Yes.
The law establishing them did not say they work for 200 days. They can work for even 150 days or even less. In most cases, you see that they proceed on vacation. But it's unfortunate.
All right, wonderful viewers. There are much to say concerning this, concerning our country. But that's the much we are going to take. Tomorrow is another day. That's the much we are going to take today. I want to thank you especially for being there, for watching Living TV, and also those of you who contributed and your questions and contributions. We also thank you very much. Keep it in with us. On Tuesday we'll be coming again with issues of the moment. Wednesday will be Nigeria Today, and before then there will be other programs of the Living Television that you need to watch. So keep watching Living TV. From my left here is Comrade Nnamdi Elekwachi. Comrade, we are pleased to have you today.
I am also pleased. Thank you so much. Goodbye, viewers.
And this is your command, Chinedum Adiele, signing off. Keep it in with us. And don't go away, keep watching Living TV.